Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a new school year in Dalton West School District 148. I would like to acknowledge the distinguished members of the Board of Education. Our Board President, Mr. Larry Lawrence, Board Vice President, Mr. Charles Lloyd, Board Secretary, Mrs. Faith Gunter, and Board members, Mrs. Kim Atkins, Mr. Charles Givens, Mrs. Andrea Johnson, and Dr. Shalonda Randall. I appreciate the unwavering support I receive from their collaborative efforts to govern as one. I'm honored to work alongside the legendary Dr. Sonia Whitaker, Deputy Superintendent, Mrs. Lily Chapman, Senior Executive Assistant, and so many other intelligent and talented individuals who work tirelessly to succeed at the highest level. Collectively, their energy and drive from the administrative team, support staff, secretaries, custodial maintenance crew, and all the new staff members of District 148 is second to none. In District 148, we continue to build capacity within. Our pipeline of aspiring administrators is solid. This year, we have promoted 3 veteran staff members to the administrative team. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Tiffany Bennett, Assistant Principal at Roosevelt School, Mrs. Angel Powell Muldrow, Principal at ECC, and Mrs. Katie Klein, Math Coordinator at the District Office. I appreciate all of you. I am extremely grateful to belong to our professional family and to learn from the leadership of Mrs. Lachelle Armour, DEA President, Mrs. Rashida Bonner, DSA President, and Mrs. Sharon Spearman, DSA Immediate Past President. I don't want to keep you long because I know you have many things to do in preparation for the upcoming school year, but I did want to be sure to share what's on my mind. I hope you had a relaxing, restful summer because you deserve it. The more time I spend in education, the more I realize how difficult the job has become. Teaching and caring for children with such diverse needs can be exhausting. The opportunity to refuel is a key component to doing exceptional work in schools. As we all know and appreciate, teaching is one of those rare professions where you get a clean slate every year. That always brings hope and opportunity. You all have high expectations for your students, and we, in turn, have exceptionally high expectations from you. Otherwise, we wouldn't have hired you. Our job at the leadership level is to enable you to empower our students. We want you to have the necessary tools and financial resources you need to do extraordinary things. While we may not be able to provide everything you would like, we feel responsible for doing all we can to support you. We trust that you will take ownership of your own learning in the same way you want your students to own theirs. As lead learners, we need you to model that with your students just as you would want them to ask for help. We want you to do the same. Public education can be very complicated. It begins at the federal level, carries on to the state level, then schools add their expectations, and finally, the classroom teacher gets a say as well. As much as we would like all of those things to align perfectly, we recognize that sometimes they do not. At the end of the day, what is most important is what happens in the classroom and with your students. Your voice, your knowledge, your experience are most important, and we want to honor that. Your professional learning goals and your students' academic achievements are of tremendous value to our future. Just know that I'm behind you, rooting for you and your success all the way. I do not need to remind you how important your job is. We know not every day is going to be a walk through the park. We work with students. They are much like us at the beginning of our learning journey. It is our wisdom, care, and love that they need. At the end of the school day, if you leave school without a smile on your face, be sure to tell someone. Talk to your colleagues, your principal, family, or loved ones. If you are not happy, there's a pretty good chance your students won't be either. My desire, my hope, and my dream this year is that you and your students think of school as a place where communities of learners gather and do amazing work that makes a difference in our world. I'm so excited to hear your stories, so please share them. In your students' eyes, be the light and shine ever so bright. Help your students learn, smile, laugh, love, and belong. Ask difficult and challenging questions. Try new things and share what you're learning. If you find yourself in a place of uncertainty, do not ever be afraid to ask. Your dynamic leadership team will work tirelessly to make sure that happens for you. Every day on the front lines, you defend your students and empower them. I guarantee we will do the same for you. The last 16 months was a true test of our grit, resilience, and determination to survive. After everything we've been through, after all that, the time is now to turn the page and create an everlasting love for learning and joy. I'm so proud of you and everything you are to me. Have a fantastic school year and stay amazingly awesome.
Greetings, I am Dr. Sonia Whitaker, Deputy Superintendent of Schools, Dalton West School District 148. For those of you that are new to the district, welcome aboard. We are so happy to have you. For those of you that are returning, welcome home. We missed you. We are so looking forward to what I am confident will prove to be an outstanding school year. Please know that the safety and the health of not only you, but your students is of the utmost importance to district officials. I want you to know that I'm also very cognizant of the fact that many of you will be really focused on what some might perceive to be making up for lost time. Let me assure you that we are well aware of the fact that our students actually haven't lost time. While they were in a period of remote learning, they were learning and you were teaching. And so what I really want you to do this year is I want you to take it easy on yourself. I want you to focus on the term essentialism. The definition of essentialism is making the wisest possible investment of your time and energy in order to make the highest contribution by doing only what is essential. So what am I saying in a nutshell? What I'm saying in a nutshell is I'm clear that you will have a tendency to want to do everything this year because you haven't had your students in face-to-face instruction. What I am suggesting is that in order to make the highest contribution to this organization and in order to make the highest contribution to your students and even yourself, you're going to have to prioritize. Remain focused on the district's clear goals and objectives, but also as you make it your way into your classrooms, I want you to determine what is the highest priority so that you can be effective in your work. Again, welcome back, and we look forward to a successful school year.
Greetings to the wonderful staff of District 148. I'm excited to welcome each of you as we prepare to ring in 2021-2022 academic school year of in-person teaching and learning. To our veteran teachers and staff, I say welcome. To our new teachers and staff who are new to School District 148, I would like to proudly say that you have joined one of the best school districts in the state of Illinois. The nation experienced an unfortunate turn of events in March 2020, which prohibited school districts from delivering top quality education in a classroom setting. This unfortunate situation remained for the 2020-2021 school year. Truly a trying time for families, staff, community, and the world. This time brought forth an unexpected change that our nation will never forget. In retrospect, a lot was learned. The use of technology showed the world that School District 148 could provide a quality education by staying connected virtually with students. So much has been learned and accomplished from March 2020 to present with the use of technology. However, there is nothing like having the daily interaction of seeing students and staff engaged on a daily basis. District 148 staff, you were missed, and we are truly happy to have each of you back. The Board of Education is very proud to volunteer their time in District 148 whose personnel strive for greatness and are passionate about the success of our students. The Board of Education are reminded that foundational education that we provide to students is what prepares students for their future. The board will continue to do a collective effort to provide guidance, motivation, and working with the superintendent of schools to provide the resources that our families need to have the best elementary education ever. I have a sincere appreciation and dedication to hard work that is required by a teacher, support staff, and administrator. I applaud School District 148 staff for your continued effort. The Board of Education are big fans of District 148 staff. As we head into this new school year, I want to say welcome again. I thank each of you, encourage you, and remind you how important you are to our students, community, and the Board of Education.
Rhonda Thomas. Rhonda holds a BA degree with a minor in social work and a master's degree in inner city studies from the Northeastern Illinois University, and has spoken throughout the United States for organizations such as Making It Count, a program that encourages high school students to prepare for college. She has had the pleasure of transforming lives through her workshops and presentations. Rhonda Thomas knows all too well the hardships, stresses, and obstacles that life can throw at us. After experiencing the struggles of health and illness in her own family and seeing its larger effect on the African American community as a whole, she has chosen to devote her life, her health, her wellness, and transformational speaking. She's had the privilege of sharing her story with people across the nation, and as a way of giving back, has created this selection of coloring books to help women burn off some steam, relax, and forget about the world by coloring for a more therapeutic, happy life. Rhonda retired in February 2019 as a program manager with an emphasis on parent programs for the Chicago Gear Up Alliance at the Center for College Access and Success at the Northeastern Illinois University. Put your hands together and please welcome Rhonda Thomas.
If you feel good about yourself, it will show. Other people will notice. They will do one of two things: try to change you or be changed by you. You make the choice to either let people bring you down to their level or you raise them up to yours. It all starts with you. You decide. And if everyone could take a step or two up, we could raise our children up. They in turn could raise their children up, and so on and so on. With higher expectations per generation, we can change the world or change the way we look at it. My name is Rhonda Thomas, and my topic is Rebuilding Back Better, the Power of Our Story. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the atmosphere these last 15 months. We all remember where we were on 9/11. When we first saw the planes fly into the building, or when Michael Jackson or Prince was pronounced dead on TV, or when we heard the news that Kobe Bryant's helicopter went down and all were dead, or when we saw for the first time George Floyd calling for his mother as he laid on the ground before he took his last breath. All dramatic and memorable events. But guess what? We and our children will always remember this pandemic, the year of 2020, when schools closed for a year. How going outside to play was scary, when visiting your grandparents' and friends' houses was no longer an option, nor going to restaurants, and stores were different. And wearing a mask became a thing to get used to. So even though we went through this pandemic separately, we did go through this together. You were at your house, I was at my house, you were Zooming, I was Zooming. We didn't even know what Zooming was, but we learned. And guess what? We were still going through this together, separately, but collectively. We didn't realize how much we depended on each other. Seeing each other in the office, in the lunchroom, in the halls, security guards, lunchroom staff, clerks, and teachers. Parents didn't realize how much they appreciated their kids being out of the house for long stretches of time, or how much kids can eat when they're in the house all day long. So the thought of them having breakfast and lunch at school, I want to thank you for all of our lunchroom staff. Parents didn't realize how much they had to deal with siblings arguing and fighting at home. I want to thank you to our security officers. And parents didn't realize how the house seemed to be junky and or dirty every single day. Thank you to our custodians. And especially parents didn't realize how much they didn't know what they didn't know when it came to assisting their kids with their schoolwork, as well as having to see their little ones every day, all day. I want to thank you to our lovely teachers. So let me take you back a little bit more. I want you to raise your hand. Okay, I don't see your hands, but you can touch your screen like you're giving a high five if I say something that resonates with you. Do you guys remember back in the day ever saying, boy, if I had more time, I would read more. I would exercise more if I had more time. I would thoroughly dust, mop, and clean my closets, just a good cleaning of my house. I would organize and get to that junk drawer. Or how about I would fix healthier food so that my family could eat better? Well, let's be honest. The majority of us were in the house for over a year. How much of that did you actually get done? Be honest with yourself, but don't beat yourself down. Now it's a new day to start again, to reevaluate, to reimagine, and to reexamine our lives. Which brings me back to, how do we rebuild back better? So all that energy and determination that we had to find every day in this new normal, we need to bring this back to our schools. The energy and the determination that you had at home to make it through those difficult days, remember, you are still standing. Bring that story back into your schools, your classrooms. Bring the positive things that you learned about yourself. It's not just, oh, I'm back at work. For you teachers, it should be, I'm back to answering the high calling of being an educator. Guess what? We are still standing. The elephant has affected us in so many ways, and that is part of our story of how we survive with many and unfortunate, it may have been friends and or loved ones who didn't survive. So how do we rebuild back better? How do we share our story about our resilience in the face of all that? By being positive. What have we learned about our attitude? Let me put those together and share what a positive attitude looks like. If you look at the word attitude, let's give each letter a numeric value. You can pull out your fingers. A would be 1, T would be 20, T would be 20, I would be 9, T would be 20, then U would definitely be 21, D is 4, and E is 5. Now add all that up, and what you'll come up with is 100. Having the right type of attitude is 100% what we need to do when we rebuild back better. Now that we are in a positive mindset, let's decide collectively that the students are excited about returning to school, if only because they want to get out of their house and get back to seeing their friends. And the parents, they're excited, even if it's because they want to give them back to their friends. Our students, what have they learned? More resilience than they thought? That they will probably have a new appreciation for their teachers. Learn to be self-directed learners. Learn to use technology beyond what they thought they were capable of. Learn to appreciate a classroom setting. In fact, they're probably craving a classroom setting. Teachers, you being a teacher, you must remember this is a calling. You learned to motivate differently. You had to entertain, you had to get their attention, you had to get them motivated. All this over a computer. You had to learn technology beyond what you thought you never said you had time to learn. You learned new methods to use to actually hear your students. They weren't physically in front of you anymore. Teachers became more creative, stepping out of their comfort box, not zone, a box. Because you see, a box has boundaries that tell you what you can't do. Teachers had to think differently, and that's something you showed that you can do. Now, our parents, they learned about themselves, their children, and especially their teachers. I work closely with the parents in workshops, and so let me tell you what I see in them rebuilding regarding rebuilding back better and what they have to do to support you. Parents learned to use the computer to help their small children get online. Parents had to talk to the teachers, probably more than they ever have, to ask for help, to be vulnerable. I tell you what, birthday parties, graduations, luncheons, prom, we learned to still celebrate our children. We started having drive-bys to drop off gifts and cards. The good thing was we didn't have to clean up the house, just the yard. Parents got a new appreciation for what teachers go through, seeing teachers with new appreciative eyes, knowing that they, the parents, had to deal with 1, 3, or possibly 5 kids. But teachers sometimes have to deal with 30 or more every day. A lot of you all are parents yourself. Have you given yourself that pat on the back? And let me tell you how wonderful you are to be handling your family and the education of the students with all this newness happening. Our administrators, I haven't forgotten about you guys, having to deal with all of the above. We don't have any numbers to add that up like we did with attitude, but I'm sure it has to equal over 100%. So how do we rebuild back better? We take our stories, all those positive attributes that we learned during this time, and bring it back into our homes, our classrooms, our communities. Yes, we all have more than a story to tell. We have a calling to share. So let's make sure that we highlight the positive parts of those stories within the calling. Life is art. Create your masterpiece. Have a good story to tell. Generations after generations, our stories will continue of how we survived. So let's rebuild back better and make it a colorful story. I'd like to thank Dr. Noti and Dr. Whitaker for having me out to speak to you guys. I want to say District 148, we are all in this together. Stay safe and have a great year.